You know, that comment was wrong, and it's the latest demonstration of how little Donald has thought about any of the serious issues facing this country. I am pro-life. Being pro-life means standing and defending the unborn, but it also means defending moms, defending women, and defending the incredible gift women have to bring life into the world. And Donald's comments, they were unfortunate, they were wrong, and I strongly disagree with them.
That was Ted Cruz teeing off on Donald Trump following his comments yesterday on abortion. It is the latest flashpoint in their long battle towards the end of this nomination. So far, Trump has been able to shake off controversial comments time and time again. But will it work this time is the question of today. Katrina Pierson is the Trump campaign national spokesperson. Katrina, good morning. Good to have you with us today.
Good morning, Martha.
You know, we also spoke to Byron York earlier. He said that Donald Trump's answer on this yesterday to Chris Matthews showed complete ignorance of the abortion debate and how conservatives approach it, and basically that it is to embrace the woman who is pregnant with the child. So why did he misstate, as you have said this morning, this issue that is very important?
Well, I think simply because this was a hypothetical question and it was conversational and it was one of those things that just happens. Mr. Trump answered the question that Chris Matthews was asking about banning abortions and should there be a punishment if it were illegal, and the answer was yes. When Chris Matthews said even women, he said yes, not distinguishing the difference between the woman and the actual person doing the illegal procedure, which is exactly why you saw an immediate clarification come out. And it's no surprise that the opponents are obviously jumping on this as an opportunity to politicize the statement. And I will say, people like Senator Ted Cruz cannot have it both ways. It wasn't too long ago, Martha, when he was running ads saying that Donald Trump supports abortion and Planned Parenthood, and now all of a sudden he's too pro-life. You can't have it both ways.
All right, but you know, I think a lot of people look at it and they say, if you are truly pro-life, you are very familiar with this debate, and it goes to the issue of how much he has thought about these issues, how much of it is ingrained in sort of every ounce of his being. He just had his 8th grandchild the other day. In a way, right, this should have been a very easy, clear question. It's not something that you should really have to think too much about, whether or not you're going to punish the woman who has had the abortion.
Well, right. That's what I'm saying. It was a simple misspeak. It should have been the physician should have been punished and not the woman, which is why you saw the clarification. And this is something that Mr. Trump has thought a lot about, which is also reflected in the statement, simply because we do know that there is an unresolved issue when it comes to personhood. That's why Mr. Trump says this is up to the states. He does not support abortion. He is pro-life. He does have exceptions, and he does not support punishing women for having abortions, even if they're illegal. But personhood is an issue that is open in the debate, which is exactly why progressive journalists try to use these questions to get Republicans specifically.
Yeah, but the problem here, Katrina, is that he's getting it from both sides. Conservatives are very unhappy with the answer to that question. Progressives also unhappy with the answer to that question. And he's working at this moment to try to expand the people that support him. Those supporters are not going to go away. We've seen time and time again that they really stand by him no matter what. But this is the time in this process to be expanding that universe for this candidate.
Oh, you're absolutely right. And Donald Trump has been the only campaign to show when people vote that he does have a broad base of support there. So, of course, the other candidates are going to jump on. And there's no secret that there is a hashtag Never Trump movement out there with Republicans and conservatives because he is winning the nomination and they're trying to stop him. Even the Republican Party establishment have made no secrets that they want to stop Donald Trump. So, of course, they're going to jump on things like this. Right, it was a simple error in speaking.
But here, when you look at the course of the last week, right, you've got issues that have to do with women's issues. You have this comment. You have the Corey Lewandowski incident, which you guys have addressed quite a bit. Then you have the Washington Post interview, this exhaustive interview on foreign policy. In each one of these cases, it looks like Mr. Trump is not consulting, not deepening his understanding of some of these issues. There's also the NATO comment, that he would consider keeping nuclear weapons on the table for Europe. I mean, so that it makes people wonder how much time he is spending getting deeper into these issues, because people who are not supporting him might have a greater comfort level with him if they felt that was going on.
Well, and I think people would have a greater comfort level with him if he was also politically correct and spoken talking points. But the thing with NATO and nuclear weapons, I mean, you can still support being anti-nuclear proliferation, but then saying that those countries need to protect themselves. I mean, this is the type of thing that a lot of people, they're not getting past that 6-decade-old thinking. With NATO, we need to re-engage NATO. We need to change the mission of NATO.
But do we need to leave the nuclear weapons option on the table with our allies in Europe?
Well, Mr. Trump has always said he's not going to take any cards off the table. And see, candidates like to use things like that by saying, we can't trust Mr. Trump with his finger on the trigger, knowing that a president can't just pull the trigger. There are procedures in place for that to happen. So Mr. Trump has always said he would never take anything off the table, period.
All right, but I go back to this issue, which you hear so much about it everywhere you go.
Yeah.
How much is he studying? How much, as the process goes along, and I think in the beginning everybody said, yes, he's a businessman. We don't expect him to know that much about foreign policy. But as the process goes along, I think everybody looks for those markers that his thinking is deepening on some of these issues. And, the criticism is that they're not seeing evidence of that.
Well, I think the criticism really is they're not hearing what they want to hear the way they want to hear it. Mr. Trump's policies are vastly different than those running against him, whether it's regard to trade, whether it's with regards to job, or even foreign policy for that matter. I mean, just like with terrorism, Mr. Trump has very different positions on terrorism. He talked about Brussels in January, and of course the media mocked him. Turns out there is a problem there. So what we see over time, as Mr. Trump continues to express his views and talk about his policies and the things that he believes the United States needs to re-engage or reform for that matter, things shape out to show that Mr. Trump has been right every point of the way.
All right, fair enough. One more question. 67% of women have an unfavorable view of the candidates. So what's he going to do? Ted Cruz right now is campaigning with Carly Fiorina, with his wife, with his daughters, celebrating women. What is Mr. Trump going to do to try to change that? Because if you don't fix that number, it's going to be a pretty difficult road.
Well, yes, and we do have several months before that happens. We have seen Mr. Trump has been turning out women. He's winning women within the Republican Party and the votes that have already been cast. We're going to continue to do that. A lot of people may not like Mr. Trump personally, but they know that he's the right person for the job when you look at the issues that are important to those people. He's going to continue to push his message, and we are going to continue to reach women voters because women voters also want a good economy, they want jobs, and they want security, and Donald Trump wins those issues hands down.
Katrina Pierson, thank you for being with us today.
Thanks, Martha.
Sure. You bet.
So